That one? No, this one?
Yeah.
Do I look there?
Uh-huh.
Right there. Hello everybody, what is up, our squad? I hope you've had an incredible day so far. My name is Lauren McLarnon. If I haven't had the chance to meet you yet, I am actually Jordan's wife. I'm super excited to be able to hang out with you for just a second, and it's the end of the year, the last our squad. I know there's probably some Christmas parties coming up. We have decorated, as you can see, for Christmas, and we're super excited. But in the midst of all of this, there has been something that I've wanted to share about John chapter 1. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And the reason why we're going to read John chapter 1 and dive into that is because it talks about hope and it talks about light. It talks about grace and truth. And I don't know about you, but this is a year specifically that I'm definitely in need of some hope. 2020, if you can think back to the very beginning of the year and everything that we've been through between quarantines and elections and all of the craziness that has been going on, 2020 literally, I feel like, came in like a wrecking ball. This year has demanded some big things of me, demanded some big things of Jordan and I as we figure out, man, there are some things that I do not like that's in my heart or that's in my mind. I don't know about you, but I've learned some of those things. And throughout the whole year, it's really begged this question. And the question is, what do you hope in? In fact, sometimes we even have to ask, do I have hope in anything? I think some of us realized along the way that the things maybe that we thought that we had hope in ended up failing us in the long run. Maybe our hope was simply in the stuff. The more stuff I can get, the better I can fill my room and my house, and the more control I have of all of this cool stuff to keep me entertained. Maybe that's where my hope has been. Maybe it's been in a job to provide security, stability for you or for your family. Maybe it was in a politician or in the economy. Maybe you've heard that over and over again. In reality, these are all things that end up leading to frustration. They end up leading to disappointments because these are things that change all the time. And there's not something firm that I can place my hope in day after day. For many of us, we may have realized, man, all of these things, they are not stable. They cannot be trusted. I cannot put my hope in those things. So I'm gonna put my hope only in myself because I'm the only person that I can rely on and I know what's going on. Guys, I think we know that even at our best attempts, we can't even hope in ourselves because we are ever changing and that we long for something bigger and better and stronger than ourselves. So today I want to talk about John chapter 1 and make a compelling case that we do actually have something to hope for that's bigger than ourselves. It starts like this. Verse 1, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning, and through him all things were made. Without him, nothing was made that has been made. In him was life, and that life was the light of all mankind. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. In the beginning was the Word. This tells us that Jesus was there, not only existed since the very beginning, but he was with God in the very beginning, and he created all things. As we go down to verse 14, we're going to skip all the way through, and he talks about how Jesus became flesh. And this is the time of year where we celebrate that because we celebrate the birth of baby Jesus, him actually becoming a human being and taking on all of those properties and becoming like us. In verse 14 it says, the Word became flesh and he made his dwelling among us. Among us. The Word became flesh, and he made his dwelling among us. We have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only Son, who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. Here's the thing that gets me excited, and one of the reasons why I have hope is because Jesus is not half grace and half truth. He's not a roll of the dice, and which Jesus are you going to get today? That's always changing. You get fully grace and you get fully truth. It's not a wonder of, oh, should I go to him on this day because he's full of grace? And then the next day he's gonna be full of truth, so I have to measure out my days, and if I need forgiveness, then I need to go on this day, or if I need wisdom and advice and truth, I need to go on this day. It's just not how it works. He is fully grace and fully truth. So you may be asking, how can you be both at one time? They seem conflicting and it doesn't seem like that would work. And from the way we understand it, that's typically right. For example, I can't be a full-on Duke fan and a full-on UNC fan, right? I've already started fights just now. We're usually not both of these things together, but we're usually all one and all the other. So it doesn't necessarily make sense to us, but grace and truth collided together in the person of Jesus. I think that we all have a tendency to maybe lean one way or the other. What I mean is maybe some of us lean to the high grace and low truth side. As in, everything goes. It's all gonna be great. Do whatever you want and condone everything. You know, it's all gonna be okay no matter what you do and no matter what happens, because there's just grace, you know, and there's just forgiveness, which is true, but maybe doesn't stand as firm without something behind it, right? Or maybe some of us lean to the all truth side. And by that, what I mean is, I am right, this is right, and if you disagree, then you're just stupid. Or I'm gonna speak my truth, which what I believe is the truth, and everyone needs to believe it's the truth, and don't really care who I hurt in the process or how it comes out, but it's truth, 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 and this is the way it is. The high grace people would lean towards, there is always a second chance. The high truth people would lean towards, well, if you didn't mess up in the first place, you wouldn't need a second chance. When you make a mistake, when you screw it up really badly, you want to go to a grace person because you know what you're going to receive, the love and the mercy and the gentleness and the kindness. But when you need wisdom and advice and clarity and wanting to do the right thing, you may go more to a truth person. This is how my mom and my dad ended up usually. They're the perfect balance of grace and truth, but that's a humanity. So it wasn't a perfect balance because sometimes one is all grace and sometimes one is all truth. But Jesus is the perfect combination because he is fully grace at the same time, fully truth. You see, all grace without any truth lacks power. There's no substance behind it. You know, there's nothing to actually stand firm on and say, this is it. This is the reason why. This is the truth. But truth without any grace at all lacks compassion. There's a story later on in the book of John that really explains how Jesus shows both grace and truth and in what order that he shows them in. And it's in John chapter 8. It says, the teachers of the law and the Pharisees brought a woman caught in adultery. They made her stand before the group and said to Jesus, "Teacher, this woman was caught in the act of adultery. In the law, Moses commanded us to stone such a woman. What do you say?" They were using this question as a trap in order to have a basis of accusing him. But Jesus bent down and started to write on the ground with his finger, and when they kept on questioning him, he straightened up and said to them, "Let any one of you who is without sin be the first to throw the stone at her." Again, he stooped down and wrote on the ground. But at this, those who heard began to go away, one at a time, the older ones first, until Jesus was the only one left with the woman standing there. Jesus straightened up and asked her, "Woman, where are they? No one has condemned you?" "No, sir," she said. "Then neither do I condemn you," Jesus declared. "Go now and leave your life of sin." Jesus looks up at the woman and he says, "Neither do I condemn you." So he leads with grace and leads with, no, you're not going to be stoned today. But he sends her off with truth. He sends her with, go and don't sin anymore. Do what's right. Do what is true. I wonder if it had been flipped, if it would have turned out the same way or would have had the same effect. But he leads with grace and then he extends truth as well. I think it's so important the way that Jesus leads with grace to this woman who was caught in sin, because leading with grace means that I know that I can come to this person when I've screwed up, when I'm in my most vulnerable place and I don't really want to talk to anybody else. But it's going to be okay because I know that there's love and there's kindness and there's mercy waiting for me. But there's also something to hold me accountable. I don't know if you've ever messed up, screwed up really badly, and knew that, man, this is a truth person. And so when I tell them, I'm going to get yelled at and I'm going to get lectured and it's going to really suck. And then I don't know if you know the grace people. where they show the heart of God and they show that, man, I know you really screwed up, but it's going to be okay and I forgive you. The reason I can have hope in 2020 is because I know that there is a God who is gracious and who is merciful and who is eager to forgive when I screw it up, because there will be those times over and over and over again. But I know that there is a God who provides truth and who is stable and who is a rock that I can lean on and I can rely on, because the scripture tells me so, that he is both. And so since I know that as a child of God, I have grace and I have truth to both look to seek towards, to run towards, this gives me hope for the future. This gives me hope because there is a perfect God that is looking out for me, that wants what's best for me, and that provides for me and is never changing, but his character is the same all the time. Cute.